Good afternoon and welcome to the Advice Media webinar for the month of June. I was just commenting with my wife this morning. I cannot believe how quickly this month has blown by. It's like, well, the kids got out of school and we've already lost a month. It's amazing. So I hope everyone else is having a good summer. My name is Chad Erickson. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Business Development at Advice Media, and I have the privilege of being your host today. And so again, I thank you for taking time to be here and to be present with us. And hope you continue to find the content that we provide every month valuable and beneficial to you and to your practice as we look for other ways to help you grow and little ways that can always tweak and make you better and help you improve the care that you offer to your clients and also improve your bottom line. Today's webinar, we do have our control panel. So if you do have questions for Sarah, and I'll introduce Sarah in just a minute. If you do have some questions for her or comments, you can enter those on the control panel and I will moderate those today and be able to present those to her at the end of her presentation. So I'll be looking at that. But it's my esteemed pleasure to welcome our guest today. I've known Sarah for a long time and was so grateful that she willingly accepted the opportunity to come and present this information today on really, it's about patient loyalty, with this, and so she'll talk about that. But Sarah Meyer is the president of Mod Marketing, and she honed her marketing skills and expertise working in various industries and with a wide range of clients over 12 years before she became a licensed skin esthetician. She began working in the aesthetics industry as the marketing and retail specialist for a leading East Coast medical spa, and later as marketing director for a distinguished board-certified plastic surgeon in Pennsylvania. She left the practice in June of 2016 to establish her own marketing and branding firm, Mod Marketing, which specializes in the aesthetics industry. Now, since starting Mod Marketing 2 years ago, she's worked with numerous medical spas and plastic surgery practices in the Mid-Atlantic region and beyond. And Mod Marketing offers a full range of marketing and consulting services that include branding, digital marketing solutions, social media, blogging, and email marketing. I personally met Sarah when she was actually still working for this plastic surgeon and looking to go out on her own. And I was very impressed with her and just her aptitude of things that she had already done in the office and what she understood, and being able to bring that experience and background to the forefront and allowing her to really grow and expand is awesome. And then she and I had an opportunity to be in Vegas just a few weeks ago at the Vegas Cosmetic Surgery meeting. So again, it's my privilege to welcome Sarah today. Thank you again, Sarah, for taking time. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Chad. So like Chad said, we're going to be speaking about winning your patient's loyalty, and we're going to talk about these three main categories. The first one is the club objectives. This is going to be why you're investing in a club. Why are you going to invest money and time into investing in a club and what it's going to do for your office? We're going to talk about the club essentials. This is going to be your foundation or the building blocks of what you need for the club to be successful. And then we're going to talk about the marketing and branding of the club once you have those first two down. So I'm just going to start off with this quote: price is what you pay, value is what you get. So the reason I picked this quote is because developing a loyalty club isn't about just slashing your prices. It's about adding value for your patients and increasing your retention rate with them. Okay, so the first objective, there's a total of 8 objectives, and the first one is to reward your patients for their loyalty to the practice. And I know this one seems like a no-brainer, but basically what you want is the patients that are coming to you regularly, you want to keep it in their interest to come to you and not to venture out and go to your competitors if they're having an event or they're doing something. And, you want to really keep them with you so they're not going and shopping around. The second one is the upsell and cross-sell within all of your profit centers. This is very important, especially for practices that have 3 different profit centers, the largest categories being surgical, body contouring and injectables, and then skincare. The club is really meant to get your surgical patients into your non-invasives and skincare, and then also introduce your non-invasive patients into surgical too, or at least let them know, make them aware of what procedures are offered at your practice if surgical options are available. Number 3 is to reduce the number of events and specials. So a common issue for a lot of practices is that they're having so many events and specials that the patients are actually waiting for those events and specials every single month. What you want is to create a club that you don't need to be having these regularly, because what happens is when you have too many events and specials, first of all, patients wait around. So they'll actually call in, and many of you may be able to relate with this, where they're calling in and asking you when your next Botox event is. You want them coming in and getting treated when they're ready to be treated, because that's when they're due for it. And also you want to really avoid having these high peaks of high traffic over a couple-day period during the month, and then have it completely die down and have it being dead out of the month. So this is really going to help create stability from a financial aspect, and also for the staff, from a staffing standpoint, having all your patients come in at one time. We want that to be spread out a little bit more evenly. So that kind of jumps into number 4, is maintaining this regular, steady flow of business all month long. Number 5, I kind of just spoke about that as well, is modifying the patient buying behavior. Like I said, we don't want them calling in or just waiting for deals and specials. We want them to come in for their Botox when they're ready at 90 days and not pushing it out 5 months, because, you know, that's when your next event is. Number 6 is attracting the right patients. I'm going to go over very quickly what the wrong patient looks like. The wrong patient is that patient that could be a Groupon. These are the patients that are only loyal to the lowest price. They're not interested in the expertise or the experience of the provider. And those kinds of patients will never, ever be loyal to you, because they're always going to go wherever the lowest price is. As soon as your competitor is just slightly lower than you, they're going to switch over there. Just let those people go. The right patient are going to be your patients that do care about expertise and experience, and they're looking for quality, and they're also seeking to have a relationship with a practice that they can go to for their aesthetic needs, that they trust, and that they can rely on for quality work. Number 7, you want to boost your product sales. So I don't think there's a retailer in the world that hasn't been negatively influenced by, or I should say negatively impacted by online shopping, especially with Amazon. Almost every practice I have spoken to has asked me about this. You know, what's happening is patients are coming in, they're getting a great consultation by their provider about their skincare needs, and they're taking that education and they're going home and they're purchasing products online. So not only did your provider, you know, take the time to educate this patient, you're not reaping any of the benefits, and then they're just buying the products again when they run out online, whether it's Derm Store or Lovely Skin or Amazon. Creating a loyalty club gives them a reason to buy from you, and also you can always talk to them about that you can guarantee the quality of the products and that it's authentic, and they don't have to worry about getting knockoffs and things like that, especially when they're buying products through Amazon. Number 8, you want to increase your rebooking rate. One of the crux of any successful practice is having a high rebooking rate. You don't want the patient going home and then calling to make their appointment. Everybody is super busy. It's very easy to forget to call back in, and then it gets pushed back, or they might not come back in. So when you know you're part of a club and you're paying something every month of a membership fee, you're going to make sure that you book your appointment every single month, because otherwise you're just losing money. And, you know, that's what we want. We want them in there every single month. Next, I'm going to talk about the club essentials. These are the things that you need for the club to be successful. If one of these items are not in play, you're going to experience some difficulties until it gets ironed out. The first one is the structure, and there's multiple ways to structure a club. I've seen a variety of different formats. In a minute here, I'm going to go over a structure that I've seen be most successful with practices, and I'll give you the details of that, of what it looks like. The branding side of it, your club should have, you know, its own name and logo and marketing materials, and I'm going to dive into that in a little bit. You need to have staff buy-in. If your staff does not believe in the club, or this isn't something that they're excited about, the club's not going to go anywhere. And with that said, and I probably should have put this on there, not only do you need staff buy-in, you need the doctor buy-in. Sometimes the staff really wants to do a loyalty club and the doctor doesn't care about it. And if the doctor's not talking about it, the staff's not going to talk about it. So you really need that 360 from the doctor and all of the staff, regardless of their position. The next is staff training. And then after that is the marketing of the club and making sure you get the word out, because no matter how good your program is, if nobody knows about it, you're not going to get very far. So let's talk about club structure. Here is the details of what I have seen be most successful for practices. This structure is $99 for a 12-month commitment from the patient. What that's going to include for the patient is a monthly skincare treatment that's complimentary, and the value of that specific treatment should be under $130. So a good example of that could be a dermaplane, it could be a microdermabrasion, it could be a mild chemical peel. Now, we don't want them getting the complimentary treatment. The whole goal is to get them to upgrade. So for example, let's say you have hydrofacial or microneedling or whatever it is, laser treatments. You want them upgrading every single month to these other treatments. So let's say, for example, you normally sell hydrofacial for $200 and they're paying $99 a month. I would say, make that upgrade be $70. So they're still always saving. They're saving that they would be saving $30 instead of paying $200. You want to give them a percentage off injectables, lasers, body contouring, and products. I think the healthy number is 10%. Anything higher than that is going to cut too much into your margin, and anything less than that is just not enticing enough for most patients. And if the doctor does charge for consultations for surgical procedures, it's a nice benefit to throw in that you get complimentary consultations with the doctor if they are considering surgery as a little bonus. Staff buy-in. So the staff has to understand and believe in the benefits. They need to be incentivized properly, and they need to be involved from the beginning. There was one practice I worked with that the way they structured this for the staff was the estheticians actually made less money if they had a patient that was getting a skincare treatment from them that was in the club versus if they weren't in the club. So they actually didn't want any of the patients in the club because it affected their bottom line at the end of the week. So that's kind of a no-brainer. You need to make sure that it is going to be beneficial for your estheticians, the front desk, for everybody. And the reason I say involve the staff in the beginning is, sometimes there's resistance. It depends, every practice is a little bit different with how much resistance you get when you're making a change, but you're going to get less resistance if they're part of the conversation from the beginning. So they feel like they're part of a process and something's just not being done to them, or they're being told this is what we're doing after it's already done. Also, each staff member, from whoever answers your phone to your coordinator, the esthetician, whatever it may be, they have their own perspective, and they can also add a lot of valuable information that you might want to consider while you're setting up the structure of your club. The next is staff training. This is very, very important. We have one practice where the training really wasn't sufficient within the practice. And so what happens, it's human nature. When someone doesn't feel comfortable talking about something, you're just naturally going to steer away from that. No one wants to feel like, they don't look intelligent when they're speaking about a specific topic. So if you don't feel comfortable talking about the club, or you don't understand exactly how it works, they're simply not going to bring it up to the patient. All they need to know is a 2 to 3 sentence little elevator speech, and you can do that by position, from the coordinator to the esthetician to the person answering the phone. They can all position the club in their own way so that the patient is hearing about it multiple times. Okay, potholes. These are the things that I've seen cause issues with the club or hold up the success of a club. The first one is too many monthly specials or events after the club is launched. So one of our clients was doing a lot of monthly specials and it was also having a ton of events. Well, that was the whole purpose, one of the main purposes of launching their club, but they didn't stop offering those specials and events after offering the club. So for patients, it really didn't make sense to them to commit to something for 12 months when they know that there's going to be a Botox event still every single month and that there's all these specials every single month. Sometimes the monthly special or the event was actually a better deal than what the people in the club were getting. So that particular client had to revise that to get the club on the right track. And then the one we just spoke about a minute here ago is the team education and buy-in. That is just key. If you don't have that, even if you have everything else in place, that will derail you. The next is branding. The key components of that is going to be your club name, your logo, tagline. You want to come up with, your own customized name and design for this. You're going to take that design and you want to make sure it's consistent on everything from your print pieces to your electronic pieces. Everything where the club is, it all needs to be consistent and branded in a strong way. Marketing, you're going to want to market the heck out of this thing, and there's multiple ways to market, but here's some key ways to do it. One is through organic social media. Second is paid social media to your current base through Facebook and Instagram. Next, you want to have it on your website for sure, and you want to drive traffic to that page. Include it in your email marketing, and then also include it on printed materials such as current brochures, or also have a piece that's just about the club as well. Here are some examples of pieces that that I have found before for different clubs. This is just a postcard that describes the club, what you get. You can see, Platinum Partner Program, Join, Save, Sparkle. Here's another example, the Beautiful You VIP Club. Here's an example of a branding piece. Beautiful Skin starts. Here's their tagline. Here's their color palette with their logo, and you can see that brought through on this printed brochure and on their website. Here's a case study of a specific practice who currently has 31 members in their club at $99. So for the month, this brings in a little bit more than $3,000 a month for them. And yearly, it brings in a little bit over $36,000. Out of all of these 31 members, 48% have opted for injectables, upgraded their service, and they purchased products. According to RealSelf, the average cost of a Botox treatment is $550. So even if that patient only came in once a year, that's a little bit over $7,000 additional revenue. And we know most patients are coming in at least 2 times, if not 3, for their Botox. And filler, again, according to RealSelf, the average price is $975, which, again, on a conservative side, that's assuming that they only came in once a year, is a little over $13,000. So you can see how these numbers would keep increasing drastically, just adding in a patient coming in twice a year instead of once a year and filler. And then that's not including products in their skincare and upgrading. And then also jumping into body contouring and things like that. So that's all I have for you today. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Mod Aesthetic Marketing and Sarah Kristen 28. And let me know if you have questions here. I'll have Chad jump in, and whatever questions you have, we can. I'll go ahead and answer those.
Perfect. Sarah, thank you so much. That was awesome. Very concise and right to the point, which I loved. Go ahead and put your that last slide up in case they missed your information. They can see your information there again. There were a few questions that came in the meantime, and I'll share some of those with you. Yeah, quite a few good questions. And if anybody else has any more questions, feel free to put those in the chat section, and I'll funnel those over to Sarah. So the first one is how many events or specials should they hold each year?
While having a loyalty club? I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think they referenced the fact that you'd mentioned most practices make the mistake of having too many events and specials throughout the year. It needs to go less. So what is the right number?
Okay. If you don't have a loyalty club, I would say 1 a quarter, and that's it. So that's 4 times a year. That would be maximum. And if you do have a club like this where they're getting 10% off injectables, I would not have a quarterly event. At the absolute most, I would have 1 yearly event. And if you do that, I would make members get a further discount than non-members still, so that they can see what the difference is between being in a club and not being in the club is.
That's smart. And then, of course, they could probably make a big push at that event to get a lot of people sign up for that to be members and get member pricing.
Exactly. And you can even offer an incentive to join the club. We have a practice now that any patient that signs up for a surgical procedure over a certain dollar amount actually gets so many months of the club complimentary. And so that's a great way to get them in and start seeing the benefits. And then they want to, continue that after the complimentary period is over.
Very smart. Another question, it's actually a 2-part question, is should they private label their skincare products? And if so, who do you recommend?
Okay. There are several companies for private labeling, and I'm sure that you probably researched this and realized that on your own. There's three kind of categories for private labeling. You have, number one, you have the doctors that are literally formulating every single product from scratch, where every ingredient, everything that's going in there is being chosen by the doctor. That's the most expensive way to do it. It's extremely, extremely time consuming and extremely, extremely expensive. You have to go through a lot of red tape. There are some doctors out there that have done it, but most practices don't really have the resources to do that. The next is kind of your middle of the road, and this is the category I would recommend, is going with a private label line that has quality ingredients, allows you to private label, but also allows you to make some small changes to the formula that it's already approved, so you're not going through all this red tape. And also financially, this is much more reasonable for the practice. And if they have additional questions about that, ask them to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to send over some references of different private labeling lines that I've worked with that I thought had great quality products, and I would be happy to recommend.
Excellent. We get this question a lot, but in regards to training, or not this question, but it's always, training seems to be such a hot spot for these practices. What do they do? We talked about kind of the training, but somebody said, is there anything you recommend from like a training software to keep staff, quiz them on a regular basis or keep it ongoing? Is there anything you've used or seen?
You mean I'm assuming they mean some kind of software that is tracking what, like how many memberships that staff members are selling, training, or?
No, it's really just training them on the systems in the office to make sure that they understand the pitches. It came in when you were talking about how to make sure they're on the elevator pitch. So training the staff on the program in the first place. Is there anything you recommend for training? Be sure they're all on the same page.
I don't know of anything like that, and that's a really good question, because maybe that's a training deck that I should create, kind of the staples that the staff needs to understand for it to be successful. If you're talking about the club from the aspect of how the club is set up, the elevator speech, that's something that I could definitely help with, or I'm sure multiple people could. From a software standpoint, in terms of how to implement it from a technical standpoint, meaning putting it into the system, because everybody uses a different software, because I have been asked that before too, that's not really something I can answer, because it differs from practice to practice on what kind of software they're using and how to tag patients, like who's in the club and who's not. So I don't know if that answers their question. If not, you know, let me know, and I definitely will follow up.
And that was and there was a second question that was actually related to what you just answered, which is kind of tracking the club internally. Yeah, there's a software or what have you done to set that up with the practice you've been in before?
Sure. So one of the functions that the software that I've worked with had is the ability to tag a customer, and you can tag them with a code. So for example, let's just say you tag them with whatever 3 letters we wanted to, and let's just say we did CHP. And then what I could do is I could take that code CHP and I could assign a discount to it, and I would put in 10%. And so let's say I have a patient A comes in, I tag them with that because they joined the club. So every time that they do anything, that 10% is automatically taken off, and someone doesn't manually have to be sitting there with a calculator, because that's going to cause a giant holdup and confusion for everybody. If you can set that up, something like that, so it's automatically they're getting the right price, that your person at the front desk doesn't have to do this manually, that's what you want. And then hopefully your system would also have the capability to pull reports out, to pull your patients that have this code, so you can always see exactly who is in the club.
Awesome. That was very helpful, because I think that's a big question. I saw a couple questions come in related to that, which is, how do you track the club? And that makes a lot of sense within the software. And I think you're right. There's so many different software options out there, but knowing that it can be put in there and automated is a big deal, so that it doesn't accidentally get missed, which is huge. So I love it. Sarah, that's all the questions we have. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
No. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.
Awesome. You've offered so many great pieces of advice today. Thank you so much for taking part of our Advice Media webinar series. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing all of you next month. Have a wonderful, safe 4th of July next week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.